Well, it wasn't the smoothest outro I've ever done for the live stream, but we're here. It was a little quick. I was going over, and then my mouse just kind of got caught on my thumb, and then instead of fading, it was a quick cut. Music just up and disappeared. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's another Technical Alpha podcast. It's Thursday, October the 1st, 2020. I hope you're all doing well. We got another good show lined up for you today, and by that, I mean we're going to attempt to stretch out 3 pieces of news into an entire podcast. And let me tell you, if there's anyone up to the task, it's Technical Alpha. We can make it happen. I'm not going to lie. I'm staring at my OBS right now because Dodge Pong, in the last update that just pushed out today, Dodge Pong updated the audio, the audio fucking meters to be 60 hertz instead of 30, and so it's blowing my mind seeing the audio meter at 60 FPS instead of 30 FPS. It's so fluid! Makes literally no difference, but it's the small things in life. It's the small things in life. Well, before we get started, let me just minimize all these things. Press full screen over here. Head on over here, press that button, we're hopping, I'm fucking dead tired today, by the way.
I'm pretty tired. I'm actually pretty tired today, too, so.
Yeah, my brain, I'm not putting together sentences that make any sense. I went to sleep last night, I was dead tired, went to sleep last night, and I had one of those nights where I did nothing but dream the entire night, and I woke up and I felt like I just lived 4 lifetimes. And I'd experienced every single one of them in my dreams, and I was so tired. But regardless, before we get hopping and popping, as I somehow decided to say before, Mr. Black, already knowing at least 90% of the answer to this question, how was your week?
Pretty dog shit this week.
Yes.
Pretty dog shit. Last podcast, actually, I think I mentioned about Max not doing so hot, and we were planning on taking him in to the vet. Actually, I was planning on taking him in on Monday, but Kayla had already made the call while I was doing the podcast, and she had made it for the next morning. But I had a dentist appointment that morning at the same time, and we don't take Kai anywhere just because, like, the Ronin stuff, we just, he can't wear a mask. He just, so it ain't happening. Right. So, got off of the podcast. Max was still acting weird. So I was like, fuck this. I'm not waiting, until Monday. I can't make it till tomorrow. So, let's just take him to a vet tonight. So we called like 3 different places, but all the vet places were pretty much closed. So we called up 2 24-hour vet hospitals. One of them could get him in at like 20 to 11. So I was like, I'll just take him out up then. Yeah, got him packed up, took him down, got there. I don't know if I mentioned in the podcast last week or not, but we thought maybe it was his teeth. Because like his teeth are bad. He has like a hard time eating the hard food, so he always eats the soft food. So what I was thinking was, okay, like worst case scenario, we have to get like a tooth or 2 removed, because he had his teeth checked out in the past, and they're like, it might get to the point where you have to remove a tooth or something. So maybe we thought that's why he wasn't eating, but he was also acting like really weird. So doctor looked at him, or an intern looked at him or whatever. And they're like, yeah, he's got no muscle. Like, he's literally skin and bones, essentially. Looking frail as fuck. Asked how long he wasn't eating. Basically was like the last day and a half. Like, he really didn't eat the last day, but he was drinking water. And it seemed like he had some kind of energy. Like, he wasn't like completely out of it, but definitely wasn't himself. And he was like, okay, well, we're probably going to have to do some blood work. We might have to have him here overnight and put him on some fluids and stuff. But I'll bring the doctor in. So then the actual vet come in, and she took a look at him and said, like, spine feels fine, but his kidney area feels swollen. So we should get an ultrasound. and X-rays done. It's like, okay, that's no problem. So they go and do that. 15 minutes later, and I just had this feeling. So when they were gone, it was just Max and I just chilling in the room. Max was just still acting weird. Like he would come sit beside me and just kind of lay there beside me. He's just not like that. Like if anybody knows my cat, he's a very, like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but and at that point, like the way he was sitting beside me and he was purring, like he was just, just chilling. I just had this feeling like this ain't going to be good. And then like 5 minutes later, she come in, she's like, I have some bad news. Like I'm happy you got the ultrasound done, but he's got 2 big tumors on his kidneys. And I was thinking, okay, well, I asked her, like, are they cancerous? And she's like, yes, very much so. And he probably has 1 to 2 weeks left to live, tops. And we had 2 options. It was either put him on steroids and some sort of other medication, and like basically keep him alive for our benefit for the next, like she said, maybe 2 weeks. And that was sort of on the high end. Or we put him down, and he doesn't suffer anymore. So that's what we ended up doing. So anyway, put Max down was the toughest thing I ever did. I was like, honestly, I love my pets. I love all my pets. And if somebody would have told me it was going to suck that much, I knew it was going to suck, but it really sucked. Like really, really sucked. Like, being there, and they asked me, like, did you want to be there with him? And I was, of course I want to be there, but I didn't really know mentally what I was getting myself into, So anyway, I won't even go through the whole process. It was dog shit. And, yeah, that was pretty much the show. And that's it. We picked his remains up yesterday. Or day before yesterday.
Yeah, I think it was the day before. I think I saw M showed me the picture on her phone.
Yeah. So we picked him up, and it was nice. They gave him, they took prints of his paws, and they gave us like a little bag of his fur, and shit like that. But yeah, it's been a rough week. Like I figured he was getting old. And you kind of, like, as a pet owner, you kind of mentally prepare yourself when pets start to get older. And Kayla and I even joked around to a degree of, like, he's getting older. Like, because he just wasn't, over the last year, he's noticeably getting old and just not as active and stuff as he was. And, we're like, even sort of joke around, like, I don't know how much longer he's going to be around type thing. Right. And I think maybe you do that just to kind of like mask the reality of what's actually happening. So, he's gone now. I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but I have the cat
hotel that Dad and I made.
Yeah. I have the cat hotel here. And, I feel really bad for Milo because, Milo has always been around Max. Like, Max.
Yeah, it's true. You bought him after. Yeah.
Yeah. So Milo's like a couple years younger. And so it's all he ever really knows. And Milo is already a very sketchy cat. Like, he's the complete opposite of Max. Like, Max was like the grumpy, don't give a fuck, like whatever. Milo is a sketchy fucking cat. He's cool around the people that he knows and trusts, but like, even loud sounds, he's like always on guard and stuff. So I'm trying to train him to feel more comfortable just sort of hanging out with me. So I usually, I don't have it open now, but during my streams, I keep my door open, and then he'll come in and hang out on the cat hotel and sleep here for a couple hours beside me, just so I feel like he's not by himself. Because I feel most guilty because him and Max were with each other 24/7, and now he doesn't have that. Fortunately, we're home 24/7, but Milo is such a to himself cat that, like, if I don't make it very accessible for him to come see me whenever he wants to, he'll never come see us. So we have him here now. We basically opened the whole house to the cat. So before, they used to just come down, just be downstairs, but now we just let Milo go. Like, wherever he wants to go, just go. because we just, I don't know. It's different. It's different here. The dog knows he's gone. Milo knows he's gone. We felt horrible because like the first couple days, Milo was looking around for him. Like you could tell he was just searching, like looking all over for him. We felt really, really bad, but I think, it's sinking in. He ain't around. So that's pretty much been my whole week at this point. And I've just been dealing with that in the mood of the house. And it's been rough.
Well,
it's been a rough week.
It's the same as losing a family member, really, because they're a part of your everyday life. You're taking care of them, and you get used to seeing them around. Like it's even at that level, like the simplicity of that, coming downstairs to go to work, and you look in the door, and there you feed them, and there's Max and Milo, half the day sleeping on that cat hotel. Like that's your routine, and then you remove an animal from your routine, and it becomes very difficult. So it's very much like losing a family member, especially if it's an animal that's managed to live, a fairly long period of time.
12, so
that's
he's been around.
My uncle, for example, when they had to put down their greyhound a few years back, and he refused to get another dog after that one because he said, I can't go through that again. No. So Ben got a dog, like a dog, but he like John will not buy another dog.
Yeah, and that's and Kale and I kind of talked about it without really talking about it, and we both kind of just said like I can't get another cat. I not only do I not want to go through that again, but also that cat will be, unless we adopted a cat that was already fairly old.
Yeah.
I'd have to go through the same thing again when Milo goes with the other cat, or vice versa.
That's the idea.
So,
yeah.
So like, if I get another kitten, it'd be, going through the same thing. They'll get attached. I just don't want to do that. And putting a pet down, I never had to do that before in my life. It is the absolute worst experience I might have ever had. Because they don't even know what's going on, and you're holding them and they have no idea, and what's going on. It's just awful. But it is what it is. So yeah, I don't blame your uncle. And I don't even, and the other thing is what it got me thinking about is like, it made me think about Thor. And if I lose my dog, I mean, I'll be really no good. So I just don't even like thinking about it. Because it's
anyway. Who wants to sit around thinking about family members dying? Like nobody sits around and goes, "Man, that's a fun task."
Yeah, but I mean, when you lose one, you start to, I don't know, you start to.
It changes how you look at things, especially since it was like a first animal for you. Really, like Max was the first pet. So outside of fish in a tank, that was pretty much it. So yeah, no kidding. But hey, you got the little box with the stuff. You'll have that to hang on to. I thought the motherfucker was gonna live forever just out of spite, because he was just the angriest animal I've ever seen. I didn't think he'd want to leave just to be an asshole. So, but he had a good one, and despite Milo driving him batshit crazy for the better part of his end years, he did pretty well. So yeah, that is. Bar none a shit week, no matter how you slice it.
Yeah.
And it will take some time, for sure. Thankfully, I didn't have nearly as emotionally compromising as a week. We had a bit of a weird, not a scare, it was a bit of a scare, whereby, and it actually only just got rectified today. So, for Em, when she got her RN license here not long ago, and by not long ago I mean within the last like 2 months, she just got it. Normally there are 2 registration dates for licensing in a year. You get like in sometime in the early part of the year, and then in the fall it happens again. And because of COVID, the exam period got pushed way forward this year for obvious reasons. They couldn't meet to have people in a room to write the exam until quite late. And because of that, the period of time after the exam that the nurses had to accrue all of their hours for the year to make up their, current, what's called like their currency of practice, before October, the end of October, was significantly shortened. And the amount of hours required is, if you do the math, it's basically 5 months of straight full-time work.
Wow.
Is what they require. And the exam got pushed, so M didn't have her license until July, like the end, like fucking like super late. And it's in October. So even if she had gotten a job full time, like the fucking morning following getting a license, and assuming nothing interrupted that work whatsoever, she still would have maybe not made it to get the license for the following year. And so what inevitably happened was, they called her when she went to reapply for 2021, because she just got her, she started her job search like fucking right out of the gate, and she just got her placement at a job here, like 2 weeks ago, where she was going to start this month. And then they were like, nope, unfortunately, you might be able to work now, but as soon as the end of October is up, you're donezo, and here are your options, which were basically go and do the bridging program again that she just finished in April, like not even fucking 6 months or so ago. So do the bridging program again, do the assessment, which is $2,500, and then you go and you book it, which wouldn't have been until early next year. You go and you book it, and then they basically do mock, like, hospital shit where you have to act as a nurse within a mock-up to do your competency, and then they assess that and decide where to go from there, and then rewrite the NCLEX that she just wrote fucking 2.5, 3 months ago. And pay for that, which is like another $500. She'd be like $4,000 in the hole again, because because it was literally impossible to get fucking work, to get the hours. So, so we were, like, I called a few people, and I was talking to them because she was beside herself. She couldn't even talk. She was just like fucking over it. And, called a few people. We tried to make some stuff happen. And then just today, by the good graces, of God, they decided to come up with another option for her that will allow her to still get her license for next year. She just has to do another competency thing, but she can do it in concert with working at the same time.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good then.
So everyone was like, biggest sigh of relief, because everyone was fucking like, dude, I was ready to kill somebody. I was so angry. I was white hot angry, because I was like, how in the fuck are you going in the middle of a pandemic when you are literally screaming for nurses, especially like somebody like an RN, screaming for nurses, and then take the license away because of an impossibility. Nothing within the nurse's control, and you're gonna strip it and get her to... That doesn't make any sense! So, thankfully, somebody apparently internally went, wait a minute, that is fucking stupid. And so, just today, thankfully, that got cleared up. So that was a roller coaster for us this week, but that's good. And then other than that, I quite literally haven't streamed in days, because I made the decision to treat my stream to something. 2020's been a shit gong show, whatever, and people have been asking me for years to do a full playthrough of Morrowind, my favorite game of all time. Then I have famously started 2 playthroughs and never finished the game, and it was some of my most popular YouTube content back in the day, 20, 30,000 views of video way back when, just for playing Morrowind with like no fucking anything. It was just me by myself. Wasn't even streaming, because you couldn't even stream at that time. People keep messaging me on Gmail. I still go back and watch your Morrowind Let's Play from like fucking 2000, God knows whenever the fuck that was. When are you gonna pick that up again? So I said, fuck it. This is the year. It's time. And so I spent 4 straight days, about 12 hours a day, trying to get Morrowind to not only run well, but not look like a pile of smashed assholes. Morrowind is a famously broken game. It is Bethesda, but in fairness to them, this was like the genesis of their broken shit, because it was their first game in this new engine that they had. But unfortunately, lots of it never got patched, so you have to do modding to some degree to not have the game just fucking up and break on you 30 hours into the game. So, I've been spending a lot of time with that, but I think we got her down. I'm going to do one more pass, probably after the podcast. I basically go into the game, I set my running speed to like 300 so I can run like the fucking Flash, and I put no clipping on so I can fly, and then I just run around the map waiting to see if something will fucking explode. I caught a couple of them the other day, but I think we got her locked up, and so now it's just going to be last checks, and then we can take off Ignition 2020 Morrowind start. It's going to be glorious.
There you go.
And in the most erratic frame rate ever seen. That engine does not hold up at all. It runs on one CPU core, the entire fucking engine. One core. So unless your CPU is at like 8.5 gigahertz, you are fucked. You can put one texture in that game that is not default, and your frame rate goes from like 400 to 32. There's just no fucking stability. So I might even lock it at 30 and just enjoy the cinematic experience of 30 FPS.
There you go.
Now that we've padded out the beginning, are you ready to talk about the 4 topics we have today?
All right, let's
get those. It's not a long list. We didn't even get a full page today.
Damn, the last couple weeks I had to scroll down.
Yeah, there were bangers the last couple weeks, not so much this week. But before we go any further, hit the like button and hit the bell icon on YouTube so that you can comment and like within the first hour, as many people in the Bell Gang have been doing in the last few weeks, and absolutely crushing it. Continue to do that for the love of God, I beg you. And now, for games. As it turns out, Jeff, somebody in Xbox's marketing team that have been in one-on-one combat with Nintendo's marketing team for console names that should have never happened. The Xbox Series X, when you have an Xbox One and an Xbox One X, as it turns out, gets confusing for consumers. Who would have known? An Xbox One X and an Xbox Series X being sold at almost the same price at roughly the same time. Who would have known that was a bad idea? Well, as it turns out, not many people on Amazon, because the sales for Xbox One X through the roof during the pre-order times where everyone is scrambling and they're in a rush and they don't want to miss the first wave, and so they're clicking anything that has an X in it and just fucking ordering it. Lots of porn flying off the shelves as people try and get as many X's into their cart as humanly possible. And so the Series X, getting a bit conflated. For example, on Amazon, the Xbox One X sales numbers up 750%!
Holy shit.
Now, hopefully, they realized before it was too late what they had ordered. But with Amazon next day shipping, I doubt many of them managed to fucking swing that one before they realized it was the wrong move. So, yeah, I don't know what the fuck they were, like, I get that they have to call it the Xbox, right? They're not going to rename it something other than the Xbox.
Yeah.
But the Series X, when you just made the One X, is just, you gotta come up with something different.
Yeah, I agree.
Because this is what happens.
Like, why don't you just call it the Xbox whatever, or just call it the Xbox? You know what I mean?
Well, I guess it's because they have the different SKUs that do their different hardware standards, right? So, like, the S is, like, significantly less powerful than the X. I get what they were going for, but they probably could have chose different letters. But the X and the S are, like, so often used in car models and everything else. People already know what they mean. They can, like, figure it out. And so, like, I get it, but also, fuck me. That's a terrible thing for some people to be caught up with. Obviously, as well, the pre-orders, while they went better than the PlayStations due to the fact that, well, they announced when the pre-orders were going to happen before it happened, still lots of scrambling and retailers not really knowing exactly how much stock they're going to get. And so, for example, Amazon were sending out emails to let people know that, hey, you pre-ordered this, but we might not be able to get it to you on launch day because we don't 100% know what we're going to be able to acquire from Microsoft at that time. And so it is still a crapshoot for sure. But at the end of the day, Microsoft continues to at least come out on social media, and they've been saying things like, we are aware of, obviously, the high demand, the retailers struggling. We're going to do our best to make sure that a second wave that is not far away from the launch date is available so that people aren't waiting months to be able to get their hands on the console. So, God only knows what both Sony and Microsoft are going through right now, with the supply chain probably being as clusterfucked as it is with COVID. So any amount of stock that they can possibly get their hands on is a miracle, as far as I'm concerned. So, thumbs up for the effort on both teams there. In better Xbox news, a lot of people got their hands on the Series X to be able to finally start testing some things. Obviously, testing things that Microsoft are allowing them to test, insofar as that they can put out articles and videos about it at this time. And in this week, that just so happened to be the backwards compatibility portion of the Series X. So people like Digital Foundry, who do the often the most deep dives into anything console related in terms of frame rates and hardware capabilities and how it stacks up, they got their hands on it, and as it turns out, holy fuck, Microsoft knocked it out of the park with this bad boy.
Really?
The backwards compatibility is surprising everyone that gets their hands on it. I believe it was the boys at Digital Foundry that said that, and this is compared to the One X, not just the Xbox One, but the One X. They said, I can't go back. I will play Xbox One and Xbox One X games on this console, and there's no going back at this point. You can't do it. And here's why. Not only does the Xbox Series X do everything in the Xbox One catalog, it also upscales it to 4K. And, as they found in almost every title, it doubles the frame rate while upscaling it to 4K. So you get way higher resolution, double the frame rate, and in games in which Microsoft have found that the artificial intelligence applied HDR, whenever that works, so you're getting 4K HDR, double the frame rate. Now that doesn't mean every game gets 60 FPS locked all the time, but they did notice that you're getting well above 30, so you're not getting a worse experience while also getting 2 or more times the resolution and significantly higher frame rates, even though you're getting 2 or more times the resolution and tacking on HDR for the games to support it. So it is a monstrous victory that is applicable to Xbox One games, Xbox 360 games, and the original Xbox games. Of course, those last two being for licenses that they've got from the developers to say that, yes, you can go ahead and make these backwards compatible for this console. So, monstrous win there. The other thing that they noted that was, on paper, it sounds like obviously it's an inevitability, but with these new consoles having such fast hard drives, and by that they're solid state drives, people were like, oh, well, the backwards compatibility games should probably load, obviously faster, but I didn't think that it would load this much faster. When I was looking at the games, and we're talking about stuff like Red Dead Redemption 2, you're taking load times in the minutes and knocking it down into the seconds.
Wow.
So basically, I think it was Red Dead Redemption 2 that made the comparison that the Xbox One version of Red Dead Redemption 2, if I'm not mistaken, on the Series X, so it got the resolution upscale, everything just fucking slapped on, higher frame rates, and then it loads the game as fast as the PC version of the game.
Wow.
So it's I already had a cookie, but thank you. It's a massive uptick in performance. So you're not just getting regular backwards compatibility, you're getting a lot of added benefits. And people were a little skeptical as to just how well those benefits would pan out, but as it appears at this time, it crushes all of it. So that's great news for people that want to have their existing library of games, and to be able to experience them with better performance and visuals. And I mean, that's the way to go. Right now, as far as backwards compatibility goes, Xbox is literally in a different area code from Sony. Sony has got some backwards compatibility, but we'll have to wait and see how well it stacks up, because the Xbox has set an awfully high bar. And this raises the question to get you involved here, Mr. Black. Okay. Original Xbox, probably the last Xbox you gave a shit about, other than maybe some 360 games.
Yeah, accurate.
What games on the original Xbox and the 360, since they have to be licensed, which ones would you like to, if you were going to own an Xbox, you're like, man, I feel like going back and like quote unquote retro, because at this point, I mean, shit, the original Xbox is getting there. It's been 20 years.
It is retro now.
So what games do you think you would like to have pop on there?
Got to go with Jet Set Radio Future.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the other Xbox game I played the most was Morrowind. I played Morrowind a lot. And there's actually a Myst game that I have on I think it's on the regular Xbox. It's called Myst. Forget the name of it. I have it on there. But yeah, there's a Myst title that was a lot of fun back in the day when I played it too.
Myst, like Myst?
Yeah.
Well, is it just like real Myst?
No. I don't know.
He's going over to take a look.
There it is. Yeah. I got Jet Set Radio.
That's such a banger cover.
And there's the Myst.
Oh, Myst 4. Oh, Myst Revelation. Yeah, it's Myst 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Myst 4 is dope. Great music in Myst 4.
I don't even remember it like at all. So like if that'd be one that I would play.
They did make
HD 480p.
Ah, yeah. I think Revelation is playable and updated to be played on the PC without much issue. So that's also a thing, but on the console would be pretty good too. I would say yeah, Jet Set for sure. I don't know if it's already on the list or not. I'm going to have to pull up. Look at that cover though.
Dude, and
the foil and everything, eh?
Yeah, dude, and this one is the actual Jet Set. I also have the combo. You know,
the combo that used to come. Yeah, it was GT 2002.
It was like GT Ford Racing or some shit, and then Jet Set combo.
And Jet Set combo, yeah.
What a weird combo to have.
I think they came with consoles. They had a bundle. Yeah. And that disc combo came as a thing. So they were both Sega titles. So I think that was
that's
the idea. It was Sega GT 2002, I think. Yeah, I had the combo, and then I eventually picked up the OG cover. The foil of it and everything, the art on that original cover is amazing. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know which ones are already on there, but obviously having an upscaled, faster loading, slightly better performant Jet Set Radio Future would be incredible. The thing is, I don't know if Sega will let them do it if it isn't already on there. And the only reason being because maybe somebody in a back room somewhere is thinking, maybe we are going to remaster this game. They never seem to do it, but they're going to, maybe they're saying, maybe we will. And we want to hold that, we want to hold that option close to our chest, which is why these licensing things have to happen anyway. Because when you start talking about upscaling a game and better frame rates, faster loading and shit, you're getting into the why would I buy a remaster at this point.
Dude, this game on eBay is going for over 100 Canadian, this copy. Which is pretty nutty.
What?
Yeah. The non-combo? Yeah, the non-combo. The combo one has been going for $23-25.
Yeah.
This one is going for 100 plus. And then they also have another Jet Set Radio Future that isn't like this. It's like a regular green copy that's going a little cheaper.
Is it like a greatest hits version or some shit?
No, it's
maybe it's a different like maybe it's European or Japanese.
That might be it. It's actually, oh no, it's French.
Oh,
it's French. Yeah.
Oh, they got fucked on then.
Yeah.
Dude, I picked up a Jet Set Radio Future art book. Love, can you get that for me? It's literally right behind you. It's underneath the Liam Wong Tokyo book and above the Zelda. Yeah, I think it's that one. Just be careful with it. It cost me a small fortune. But it was only released in Japan, and it was like a little companion guidebook for the game. No, you can leave it in the package. That's fine. Well, thank you. Yeah. So a companion guidebook, like an actual like guide to the game, and it's dope because I've always wanted an art book for Jet Set Radio Future because the art's so fucking fire. But there has never really been a good one or really one at all. But this obviously has like a bunch of art in it, like a bunch of the characters and level designs. It's entirely in Japanese, and so therefore completely useless to me as an actual guide. But it's really good. It's really dope. It's all full color. Has all the character models and some of the level design models and stuff in it. Yeah, it's fucking awesome. Jet Set Radio Future is a dope game, and I would totally want it to be on that list. You know what? I asked that question because I saw Jeff Keighley decided that he was going to just try some random Xbox games that he had to see which ones might work. And the one that he specifically tagged, and he tagged Phil, and he was like, "We need to make this happen." And it was Blinks. Do you remember Blinks? Really? The fucking cat? Or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it was a launch title. I can't remember. I want to say it was a launch title for the original Xbox. And he was like, we need to... And as soon as he did that, there was a whole bunch of people like, fuck that, I want a full sequel. I want a remaster. You gotta bring Blinks back to the forefront.
Blinks.
I don't even think I played Blinks, but now I kind of...
I didn't, yeah.
Now I kind of want to play Blinks.
I don't own it either. And I don't even think I've seen one like in the wild, so it's probably
I remember before it shut down, the last game store had a copy.
Okay. Yeah, it goes for about $50.
Motherfucker, $50?
Yeah, a couple of them up on eBay for $35. Great, there's a Platinum Hits one for $29. Some of them go up to $60.
Yeah, if they do backwards compat on that, and I have an Xbox at some point, I'm gonna have to try out Blinks. Either way, there you go. It's they're doing real well with it, and I'm excited to see how that library of backwards compatibility games grows over the the period of the console, because there's so many good games the original Xbox and the 360 had that they could make use of. That yeah, it's an exciting feature. Next up. In news related to something that I misspoke about last week when we were discussing Metal Gear, and the rumors of a remake of one, I think of one, and then the following 3 games getting remasters. So a remake for one and the I think it's supposed to be Well, I'm pretty sure that the remake is Metal Gear Solid, and then sequels are remakes. However, I misspoke, and it made some people that like Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear franchise in general very upset. So I apologize that my brain, I misspoke, because when I said that, what I meant to say was that it was interesting that it would be Sony exclusive because Metal Gear started on NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System. My brain produced, apparently, I didn't listen back to it, but apparently I said Metal Gear Solid or MGS on the NES, which obviously...
I know what you meant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously. But some people very beside themselves that I fucked that up. I apologize. I will make it up to you by creating 5 to 6 hour long cutscenes and 3 to 5 minute segments of gameplay in my upcoming game, Wood Gear Soft. Elephant Eater.
Gear Soft. Elephant Eater. I like it.
Coming soon. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid, and Metal Gear Solid 2 all went up on Good Old Games, GOG, this week. I looked into it a bit when it popped up, and immediately people having picked it up are saying not so hot because they're pretty much just straight ports without a lot of work done to them. And so while they're like technically playable, we're gonna put some emphasis on the technically part, and that maybe don't give Konami money for whatever the fuck they did there, and just hold on to that, or just emulate them yourself. If you own the game somewhere else, just emulate them. It's gonna be a lot better, for sure. Oh! In news that shouldn't surprise anyone else, one of the longest-running, longest-winded, and never-ending game series of all time, Dynasty Warriors, getting another game. Dynasty Warriors, well, actually, it seems like it might be like an addition to the already existing Dynasty Warriors 9, which I think is already a thing. It's called Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires. It's got a teaser trailer. If you like some turn your brain off and press one button to kill waves and waves of hundreds of enemies, Dynasty Warriors 9. Coming up. Not 10. It's not labeled 10. That is coming, don't worry. 10, 11, 12, 13, 37, 45, you name it, Dynasty Warriors. It's coming. Don't worry about that. But yeah, trailer went up, so if you're interested in an expansion of what is largely considered one of the worst Dynasty Warriors ever made, great news. They got that there for you. So go check it out. Do you ever play any of the Dynasty Warriors games?
No, I mean, I think I've fucked around with, like, testing out some games and stuff in the past, and I might have played a little bit of it years and years and years ago when I was a teenager, but nothing ever recent or anything.
Dude, Dynasty Warriors is one of those franchises that it blows my mind to know how popular they are. Pretty much all of the games that I've played in Dynasty Warriors over the years, not that they've really changed over the years, but they're such mindless fuck shows, and they never seem to run all that well, and it's not very intricate, and obviously there is a very specific market, but they sell endlessly enough games, enough copies of Dynasty Warriors to keep that dream alive. And I don't know why. I don't know why Dynasty Warriors exists. And then we have the expansion of that now, or other franchises taking on that formula with things like the Legend of Zelda, like, what was it called? The Hyrule Warriors, which is literally Dynasty Warriors, but they just slapped it into the context of The Legend of Zelda and produced a game. It's, yeah, I don't know, I don't know how it's still going, but it is. And I can't wait for 10, because I'm sure it's going to be a real banger. Was it Lu Bu, the lead guy in every Dynasty Warrior?
I don't even know.
Buckle up. Next up, in news that Jeff doesn't care about, but I have to cover because there's no other news right now, Pokemon Sword and Shield getting their expansion passes updated, basically, or they're releasing I think the next expansion here this month. And so for those of you, I think it's towards the end of the month, I want to say like the 22nd or somewhere in there, for it. And they're also releasing, if you missed out on the train originally, I think they said that they were also releasing physical versions or digital versions or both of the base game that comes with all the expanded content. So if you missed out on it, you don't have to like go buy the single game and then go download a bunch of shit. They're just going to put out a version that has all that stuff in it. And in related news, while players already pay for Pokemon Home, you remember what Pokemon Home is? Talked about this before, but basically it's like a repository for putting all of your Pokemans to put across games. So Pokemon Home, people already pay for that service. People weren't particularly thrilled that they had to pay for Pokemon Home to begin with, but they were like, you know what? Okay, there's a lot of Pokemon games. I'm invested in this, this Pokemon ecosystem, if you will. I'll live with it. I'll pay for Pokemon Home. Okay, well, now, unfortunately, it has been discovered that apparently there may also be a fee to transfer your Pokemon from Pokemon Go to Pokemon Home.
Wow.
Now, I don't know if it's like a bulk thing where it's like per transfer, or if it's per Pokemon, or what the fuck that's supposed to be in terms of how they're monetizing it, but it is reported that there is going to be a fee to do just that. So not only are you going to be paying for home, but reportedly, you're also going to be paying for the transfers, individual transfers. So, in case you're wondering, in case you're wondering if they were ever going to microtransaction the fuck out of Pokemon,
the answer is yes.
The answer is yes.
It's a hard yes.
I've probably asked you this before, but is there anything Pokemon can do at this point to get you back in the game?
No. No. I'm like, the only thing would be is if they keep going and my son gets a little older and then he's into it. Maybe, you know, they're going to get my money because of him. But dude, can I just keep it 100? All right.
If it lengthens the podcast, yes.
I'm 33 years old, my friend. All right. I don't think there's anything at this point that is going to get me into Pokemon. I'm not saying that if you're 33, you shouldn't be into Pokemon. But if you're not into Pokemon at the age 33, you're probably not going to get into Pokemon. I'm going to be 40 years old in 7 years. All right. That ship has sailed. I'm a 33-year-old dad. I'm not like a 22, 23-year-old that is kind of still like living their childhood a little bit and get semi-excited for a Pokemon game. I'm 33. That ain't it.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm pretty much the same. There was a time where I thought that maybe if they had moved more towards a really, truly open world, closer to an actual open world adventure, less linear type game, that I would get more interest in that. I still think that might get me a little bit more interested, but it would have to be done in a pretty specific way. I mean, what they did with Sword and Shield was like tease what an open-ish Pokemon world would be, but in reality, it's still very much a linear experience, and I think that it would do well to open that up. The problem is, and I've said this before, why I think they haven't done that, even though it's the most obvious move for Pokemon, is at the moment they've done that, there's like nowhere for the franchise to go. So you're not going to see an MMO, or you're very unlikely to see an MMO. You'll see an MMO of Pokemon when they have exhausted all other options to monetize Pokemon at a video game level. Then you will see a Pokemon MMO. But the moment they do that, they have officially exhausted all of the ways in which they can continue to monetize that game moving forward. I mean, look at how they've monetized it. It's mostly with the addition of new Pokemon, but you can't just have new Pokemon and slap into a game now and have people buy it. So it's like people want to know, what are the mechanics? What are the new mechanics going to be? What are we going to be able to do? Is it a bigger world? What are we going to get? And people got excited when you could like hop on a fucking bike. Right? And it's like, now it's like people are like, can we jump? Yeah. That's the level of granularity in which the Pokemon community is willing to put up with as a new mechanic enough for them to go, yeah, I'll buy that game because now I can jump. So why Nintendo would like blow it all, or not Nintendo, but fucking Game Freaks would blow it all on one thing, one adventure game, one MMO, it doesn't make any sense. They're not, they can monetize it for much longer not doing it that way. So, yeah. But unfortunately, that's what it would take to get me relatively interested in Pokemon again, would be something like that. So, I probably will be 50 by the time that happens, if not older. And I'll be playing with my grandchildren. Next up after that, in related news to Pokemon, today actually just happened before the podcast. Actually, no, sorry, not Pokemon. I got ahead of myself. My apologies. I actually wanted to say in Nintendo-related news, Super Smash Bros. Announced a new character today, Jeff.
Ooh.
And this time, it didn't get leaked. This is the first time in a while that I can remember that people didn't already have a pretty good idea of who it was going to be. I don't know how this didn't happen sooner. However, the next Smash Bros. Character is Steve the Minecraft guy.
Wait, what? The Minecraft guy is in, like, use a pickaxe?
Steve, yes. The cover, like the cover boy, Steve the Minecraft guy.
Wow.
And you know what? I just gotta be honest. At this point, I'm just happy it's not another Fire Emblem character because they've already got like 14 in that fucking game. So we got that far. And I haven't seen the trailer yet, but apparently people are saying that at the very least, as you might expect, he's a very unique character because of the mechanics that they are giving him to do their thing. So, Steve the Minecraft guy. Hey, look, when you're the #1 selling game of all time, you gotta get a spot in Smash Bros. Ultimate, bro.
You do. It's a must.
Does anyone have the total character count for that fucking game at this point? Where are they at?
A lot. They got more characters than League of Legends.
That's what it's starting to feel like now. It's like they're just slapping another friggin' character in every month at this point. Does anyone have, in chat, does anyone have the final character count? They've got to be coming up on the end of it too, right? Like, how they can't just be continuing to crank out fucking characters. They said they had to rework every stage to accommodate placing blocks. So yeah, part of his kit is actually placing blocks.
Makes sense.
It does make sense. I have to hand it to them as well, is that while there's a lot of characters that play very similar, like every Fire Emblem swordsman, at least when they do characters like this, they go fucking in on it. They don't just slap him in and go, all right, we're gonna give him a pickaxe, and he swings a pickaxe, and you know his special is a giant creeper appears behind the stage and blows up, and blah, blah, whatever. The fact that somebody sat down and said we need to figure out a way to allow him to literally build shit on the map is fucking wild to me. I don't even know how that mechanic works, but I have to give him credit for coming up with some like weird and wacky stuff for some of these characters. I'm also just happy that it wasn't the Fortnite guy, because that game is appearing in literally every game, and you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if it's probably the next character.
It'll probably happen.
Yeah.
It'll probably happen.
I'm still waiting for Birdo, by the way. I don't know why Birdo isn't in that game yet, but I'm salty about it. Backtracking a bit, because that was supposed to be underneath something else. Twitch updated their terms of service, Mr. Black.
Oh, did they?
And they updated their terms of service. I think it's their terms of service. I don't know what what document they're calling this at this point, but let me just their community guidelines page. This change happened pretty much right after Dr. Disrespect made some appearances on some other streamers' streams on Twitch. Chiefly, I mean, there was a couple of them, but chiefly the one that more people obviously are talking about would be Nadeshot, who was doing a stream, and Doc was on the stream there for a moment, and then there was another one or two other examples as well. All of them obviously large streamers. So he wasn't like full front featured, but he was speaking to them, that kind of thing. So they basically created a Dr. Disrespect rule that is, in true Twitch style, as vague as you could possibly make it, so that at their discretion they can just fucking do whatever they feel they need to do. So The suspension evasion section used to read, all suspensions are binding until expiration or removal upon appeal. Any attempt to circumvent an account suspension or chat ban by using other accounts, identities, personalities, or presence on another user's account will also result in suspension. Suspension evasion will not only increase the length of the suspension, but may lead to an indefinite suspension. So that's what it used to read. And then they updated it, where the big change, as I said here on SVG, happens in the second paragraph, and they tacked on a little something here. It said, in addition, it is prohibited to use your channel to knowingly feature or advertise a suspended user. We understand that there may be instances where suspended users may appear on your stream due to circumstances beyond your control, such as through third-party gaming tournaments, but we expect that you make a good faith effort to remove them from your broadcast, mute them, or otherwise limit their interactions with your stream. So, obviously they felt that what they had outlined there was not didn't quite encompass what they wanted to. Obviously they really don't want Doc to in any way, shape, or form have any presence whatsoever. You know, with very little exception, like major tournaments and stuff like that, where it's inevitable for him to appear in some way because of the nature of the tournament. That's also being likely hosted on Twitch. The thing that's the thing that they leave open here, of course, is where they say making a good faith effort, because whatever the fuck that means.
It means you're in good faith. Like, they're not telling you, they're not gonna fuck you in your channel because somebody that's suspended pops up there. As long as in good faith you're aware of the said individual and you're doing everything in good faith to do minimal interaction and silence this individual on your behalf.
Yeah.
And if Twitch doesn't feel as though you are putting in that type of effort, then you could be suspended. That's what that means.
Oh, I know what it means, but like when I say whatever that means.
I'm not sure how else they're supposed to put it, because they're not going to just flat out suspend somebody for somebody being on a ladder game with them and they pop up. That wouldn't be very fair. Or if they are in a tournament and you're playing against them and they pop up on the stream for whatever, you know, it'd be pretty fucking shitty if they just suspend you for that. So they're putting it in there like, hey, be aware of your surroundings and what's going on, and in good faith of the terms of service, the moment that you are able to part ways from said individual, do that. If we feel as though you purposely are acting stupid about the situation, playing naive, or pushing the limits, like riding a gray area for the sake of riding a gray area, then they have the right to suspend your account. So it's a good faith type thing. You know, it's like, hey, I'm gonna leave you home with my wife for the next week. I need you to just look over the family and stuff. In good faith, please don't fuck her. All right. All right.
Yeah.
That's, you know, I'm leaving you here in good faith. All right. Don't try and seduce my wife, please. And you know what seducing is. If you come home with a bottle of wine and a home cooked meal, and you want to give somebody a back rub, and you've got the bath water ran with some Epsom salts in it. All right. This ain't good faith, bro. All right. If you got Doc hanging out in your lobby and you're on call with him in Discord, or you're in a game and you know he's in the game and you do everything possible to kind of hang out with him, that's not good faith. That's you playing the system here, and the dude is banned for a reason, and we don't want him here. So I think that's what I think I understand where they're going with it. I'm not actually upset with this.
I'm not upset with it either. I understand what good faith means in general. I'm just not a fan of anything Twitch does that isn't fucking explicitly said, because, and I'm not saying they'll do it here, but they have a history of making weird judgment calls as to when to apply areas of their TOS or guidelines when they've left it open, even though this doesn't sound open. In the past, they've done that kind of stuff. But so I think
this is one of the things where it should be open, because most of the time when somebody banned shows up on stream, it's usually not from your doing. And to just ban you because Doc could literally be like, "Oh, I'm going to take out Ninja's career by just sniping him and going on a stream and then saying fucking YouTube gaming, baby, let's fucking go." And then what? Ninja gets banned because it's part of the terms of service. I think you need that clause here for specifically for that reason.
Oh, they should absolutely have this. I just wish that they could. I understand that it's also difficult to be hyper specific because you can't just come up with an endless list. But it would be, and maybe they will have something more specific. Obviously, they tacked this on like within the day of this occurring. So it was like a scramble to slap something in there to make sure that it doesn't continue to happen within reason. But
my guess is Doc was hanging out, playing for a while. I don't know. I'm just.
I don't even know. I just know that he appeared on a couple of people when they were playing together in games.
Playing some games,
I think they were testing to see
what would happen.
Especially Nade. Nade said on Twitter. Nade said on Twitter, or like he said during his stream or something. I don't know where he said it, if it was like verbally or otherwise, where he said that well, what is Twitch gonna do? Are they going to ban me? I've been on this platform since before Twitch was Twitch, and I'm a major streamer here. What are they going to do? Ban me because Twitch appeared in my lobby and we played a couple games together? Is that where we're going with this? Because he said that's just not, where's the respect in that, is what he said. Loose, that's obviously, not a direct quote.
And their answer to him, without saying anything directly to him, was, "All right, let me change up the terms of service here, and take it for what you want, but don't have him in your lobby anymore." I mean, also Twitch probably just doesn't want to come out and flat out talk about Doc and say, "Listen, Doc isn't allowed here," so just make it general. And also, with that being said, Doc is high profile, and there might be some other banned people that hang out on streams and play games that, doesn't create that sort of wave. I mean, if you have Doc playing with another big streamer, you've got the YouTube side and the Twitch side all spamming about Doc, like, "Oh my God, Doc's on Twitch. They're going to poke the bear." And they just don't want that. So, that's their answer.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch this stuff unfold, because this continues to be really the first instance of a super high profile streamer being removed like what happened with Doc. And so watching all of the policy change and all of the chess pieces be moved without knowledge of what actually went down is really interesting to watch, and to see in a grander scale things like what this is, for example, where you're getting people like Nade and other major streamers testing the waters and seeing, how far Twitch is willing to go in order to keep the lid on not having Doc be present is interesting. It's very interesting. Obviously, everyone involved knew what they were doing. They were just seeing how far, specifically because it was a Warzone tournament apparently, and so they did it within the confines of at least it being a tournament.
Yeah.
And so so now the question will become probably something like, hey, if there's an invitational tournament and I end up on Doc's team, because it's a third-party tournament for major money.
Yeah, you should be fine.
Yeah, they're going to continue. This won't be the first test. I'm sure they're going to be like, poking around.
I mean, they even said it in there, right? Like third party tournaments, etc. Play your tournament, be done with that, right? And then once it's over, move. Don't continue to play exhibitions and hang out like, oh, he's been on here for an hour anyway. Why not another couple hours? Because that's no longer good faith, right? Good faith is, hey, we're not telling Doc that he can't play in tournaments or that you guys can't play in tournaments with Doc. But in good faith, be in, be out. If he gets on your team, don't fucking talk no shit. Don't make this bigger than what it needs to be. Play your matches and get going. That's what I'm getting from this.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what happens when they inevitably test the waters further, because I'm sure it's going to happen. Because when Twitch has to do this stuff and not mention Doc specifically, the question will always be, how involved can we be without the nuclear button being pressed? And so I'm sure we're going to get some more. Is Milo trying to go use his kitty, his litter box right now?
Oh.
Possibly.
Milo?
Look at that, sitting under, he's meowing and everything. There he is. There you go, buddy. Go for a little walk.
I didn't even know he was in here.
Yeah, he was obviously in the bottom.
Yeah, he's in the bottom part.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. With that, we'll wait. I'm sure I would be surprised if that part of the community guideline doesn't get expanded again with like some more specifics. But for now, that's obviously their quickest way to cover their ass a bit with this kind of stuff happening. Next up, in more gaming specific related stuff, we've got here. So Cyberpunk 2077 is coming up. We got the trailer. That popped off here the other day with Keanu Reeves doing the trailer bit for 2077. It was a nice trailer. It was great. Reminding everyone that this bad boy is about to drop. And while that's going on, we also discovered that CD Projekt Red has gone into crunch time and is now requesting or demanding, depending on, I guess, how you look at it, 6-day work weeks from the employees, plus overtime to get this thing done in time for the release. Now, this is only particularly news because not that long ago in an interview, the uppers at CD Projekt Red did say that they would not be enforcing crunch time upon their employees. This obviously came out pretty much immediately after it was discovered they were going to crunch time, and so they had a response, and the response was, while we didn't want to do it, it became a necessity, and then they outlined the reasons why it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. For example, they said that any overtime is obviously paid. All the employees get paid overtime. It's not just like, let's say if they're contractually, I guess, on there that they're not going to get paid for their extra work. They all get paid overtime, and then just like in other recent years, they take 10% of the profit of the company and spread it amongst all the employees at the end of the year. So they're trying to, smooth it over a little bit. At the end of the day, not surprising that Cyberpunk 2077 requires some crunch. We've seen the trailers, and the last stuff that we saw, I mean, it didn't look like a bad game, but it looked like a game that still needed a fair amount of work.
Yeah.
And so this is not particularly shocking, I guess, to see. I still think people need to check their expectations a bit on this one. I have a sneaking suspicion that it's going to take this game a little bit of time and patches and whatnot to really get its legs underneath of it. This is such a monstrous undertaking and a shift away from their usual gameplay that, if it will be a success for them to have a game of this scale with such a dramatic shift away from their usual work, their third-person fantasy action adventure in The Witcher. this would be impressive if they even pull off like a 7 out of 10 experience, in my opinion, right off the bat.
Yeah.
People are expecting an 11 out of 10 because it's the Witcher guys, right?
Yeah.
And can that happen? Sure, I guess. Do I think it's going to be on launch day? Not specifically. I think it's going to take some time. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It's not that far away. I believe it's into November now, the launch. For that got pushed back to November. And so hopefully with this extra crunch time that the employees are apparently compensated for, they will produce something that even partially lives up to the nearly impossible hype that the game has for it. I know I doubt you have, but I watched, I try and watch a little bit of their Night City Wire, whatever the fuck they call it, little events that they do here and there to show off new gameplay and talk about it and stuff. And I said this on Twitter, is that for me personally anyway, the more that I am shown of this game, the less excited I am about it, and they should probably stop showing this game off now.
Yeah.
Even if it looked really good, there's only so much that you can show a game off and not have the hype fall off on it because people have seen it now. You need to dance that line between, because it's not like they're showing off anything special. It's like, this week we're going to talk about hand-to-hand combat, and then they show like some wet noodle hand-to-hand combat that looked like it came out of a 2004 Xbox game. And people are supposed to be excited about that. Or today we're going to talk about branching decisions. You're like, well, congratulations. We know about branching decisions. We've been doing the shit for a long time. But no, it's different because your decisions matter. Like, yes, well, they say that every time too. So let's just maybe hold on to that until the game comes out and we'll see if it happens. Don't just ruin it before it happens and comes out. So I don't, I would caution people to maybe keep your expectations in check for that. Do you plan on playing 2077 at all at any point?
Probably not. I mean, listen, if I didn't stream for a living,
then probably
I probably would play it. This is like one of the games that I would buy and play and kind of lose myself in, but as a streamer, this. I mean, you're a little different because you do have some.
Yeah, I'm variety.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
And although my viewers will come hang out and watch me play stuff, it's games that take 100 hours, 50 hours, that really hurt your stream when you dedicate that type of time into a game. So if I'm just being frank, probably not. The only way I'd play this is if it was so fucking good that I'm sorry guys, I just got to play this as a gamer. Hopefully y'all support me and hang out, but I got to play this. Yeah. Chances are I'm not. The game ain't gonna do that. Chances are, but who knows? We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I would say that's. I mean, even as somebody who's been doing their best to review games now, even I don't know if I want to play that game because it's gonna be so long.
Yeah.
It's true from a streaming perspective. There are very few people, even if it's a variety streamer, there's very few games that are that long that people will sit down and watch day after day after day. You usually have like a maximum, I would say, of 2 weeks would be like the max on any specific game that if you're playing it. And after that, even the people that were originally very interested, they just.
I even think 2 weeks is a long.
Well,
time.
That's like the max. I would say the average is more like a week.
A week, yeah.
And then you're pushing it, right? So, it's a challenge. Unless again, like it's something like RP, like you do, or you're doing a really hyper specific game.
I'll just be 100%. I would play whatever the fuck I want to play. And I'd play a lot of different games because there are games that I would play if people fucking supported it. The thing is, they don't.
Yeah.
And you can make the argument, well, your core and the real fans of what you do will be there. But the problem is, unless those real fans are picking up the slack that the masses make, it is a horrible financial decision to go out and play something and fall super behind for 5 days, 3 days, a week. It just sucks. It sucks big time. It's hard enough keeping up doing what you normally do. So, you want to go from, 1,000 viewers, 800 viewers to 150, 200. And if you stay in that zone long enough, it's going to fucking kill you. And that's just it. That's just facts. I've been doing this a long time. If my viewers supported the other stuff the way that they support, or even half the amount, even half the amount, you could say, you know what, I just want to do it for my mental and I just want to go have some fun. But like when all you are thinking about is how much you're going to be behind when you're done having your fun, you just don't want to do it. And that's why the vast majority of streamers that are known for playing a game will dabble with a game for a few hours, maybe a day, maybe 2 if you're like really like if they have some sort of retention. But for the most part, it's a lot of incomplete games because you're like, fuck, I really can't afford to go day 5 with 15, 20% of my normal viewership, and I've already dropped 400 subs. I better get back to the thing that pays the bills.
Yeah, I think here, as somebody who's done variety now for fucking 8 years, I think the problem is largely, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle for why it is the way that it is, but here's my take on it. Playing games, or having people watch you play games has a bunch of different reasons for why people will watch you play games. The people that will just watch a Let's Play, the ones that will stay engaged the longest are the people who have either A, already played the game, and they are super invested in the game and they want to watch because they enjoy watching other people play a game they enjoyed. Or you go the other extreme, they played a game, you're playing a game that they absolutely hated and they hope you also hate it. They're looking for some sort of validation there. Or it's a game that was like super difficult and they've survived it. That's what I would call the Dark Souls effect. Games that are incredibly difficult and somebody has completed it or tried to, and either have done some things or not as much, or have done the whole thing, and they're looking for somebody else to watch to see if they struggle as much or not. But for just the average game, when you just turn on a game and you play it, you're basically background noise for the majority of viewers, because unless you're somebody that has some sort of ability to never shut the fuck up and never not say something entertaining or interesting, or give them a reason to be actively watching the screen and not just have you on the side, playing through a game has a lot of downtime that is not what I would call a high quality engagement factor. If you're doing RP, there is a high quality engagement factor because you're fucking doing RP. It's always happening. It's changing constantly. There's character interaction that nobody was ever going to see before, and it happens in real time. If you're doing competitive play, you are doing it. The entertainment factor is that your gameplay is so your engagement factor is that you're so fucking good that they can't not watch you play. If you're just mediocre at playing a first-person shooter, people can look away because you're only going to be a god 1 in every 50 games. But if you watch somebody who's really good at a game, they're just always fucking good. And so you have a reason to watch. The engagement factor of streaming is something that a variety streamer always has to battle with. And that's why you don't see as many people doing big numbers as a variety streamer.
Well, I think, and you missed another. I think a part that is even I want to say is even more critical than what you said, and that is viewer interaction.
That's what I mean. Well, that's part of it, like the engagement factor.
Yeah, like not even us, but if, for example, I'm playing a dog shit boring game.
Yeah.
But my core is so big. Right. Yeah. So like say, I average 5,000 viewers.
Yeah.
And my core might be 800 to 1,200 where they're just going to tune in for whatever. The good news about that is between that 800, 1200, maybe even 600 is there's enough people in chat that it creates its own entertainment factor with themselves. And if your numbers get too low and you are even entertaining, but it isn't something that they're really interested in, if they feel as though they're not getting engagement in chat and other people have things to talk about or to pog about or to lol about or to whatever, they're far more likely to leave your channel and go where the crowd is, because people want to feel connected. They want to be part of the crowd.
Dude, you know what it is? It's the analogy, just to interject here before you continue. It's, my analogy I've used 1,000 times before. You walk into a house party. You don't really know that many people. You're just showing up at a house party. Maybe you got invited. It's like a university party or some shit. You walk in the house, and there are groups of people all over the house. You get pockets of different types of different flavors of people, but you don't really necessarily know them. Every person will gravitate towards the largest group of people if they don't know what's going on. They will simply assume that by virtue of the most people being there, that the most exciting shit is happening there. And that's exactly what you're describing.
Yeah,
with
not
that.
only that is they can also blend in more there. They don't stand out as much.
Yeah.
It's there's safety in numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, if in case, it's just the way it is. So, yeah, I probably won't be playing it for that specific reason. If I had 800 people, if I had 500 people watch me play that for more than, because I'm sure I could, if I booted it up after some RP, I'd probably have a decent amount. But I mean, I got to role play for 6-8 hours or longer. And then go into and play 2 hours of a game that's 100 hours long.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. And even if you do really well, you might just do really well for the first few hours and it'll just taper off. And that's just how it is, because if they're going to watch you play 20, whatever this fuck Cyberpunk 2077, there and there ain't much people there, they're going to go and watch fucking Cole Carnage go and play it with 40,000 people and be part of that experience, opposed to the experience that you explained, where it's just like downtime and not always entertaining and not what you came here to watch. So,
well, in fairness, that's also happening on Cove's stream. The difference is that there's so many people that the chat makes up for it, right? It's if people ever wonder why streamers put such an emphasis on an active chat that's relevant to what's happening, it's because that is a very valuable metric and a very valuable tool for when new people enter in. They see a vibrant community that they can either A, like Jeff described, disappear into and not feel like they have to participate, or B, get involved in because it's an exciting place to be. And that's not to spin our tires on this topic forever, but that's why in podcasts past when we've discussed similar topics, the idea of it almost always being better for you to pick one game and play that one game and grow a community in that one game and then spin out of it, why that's almost always more valuable is for that exact reason. You need to have traction bouncing around.
At this point, like you have to, how else do nobody becomes successful on Twitch by just becoming a Let's Player now in 2020.
I can vouch for that specifically. Literally, if a good day for me, I get 5 followers on a good day, playing any game at all. Some games do better than others, obviously. Depends on what people are looking for. But on a good day, I get 5 followers. And the majority of them don't necessarily come back, that frequently, because they're for the game that you're there for. So, and the ones that you'll get the most followers for are the ones that are games that they're used to people just streaming that game all the time. Like No Man's Sky, I'll get 5, 10, 15 followers every stream of No Man's Sky, even if I'm sitting in a starport for 8 hours waiting for a cool ship to come in to buy. But then I could go and play another game, brand new, doing a review of it, I've got my community in there, 90, 100 people from having a fucking banger party, and get 0 followers on the entire day and stream 12 hours. So, and have that happen day after day with that specific game. So it's a complicated formula to play at, and it's one that I'm always grappling with because I love to be able to review games, but it's also a very difficult task to grow a community. So my in-between games of in-between game reviews is like the vehicle that I try to use to grow in between those games. It's obviously going to be slower than doing it in the reverse, but otherwise I'd never get a review done. You know, as it is, in a good month, I can review maybe 2 if I'm fucking smashing through them, 3 games if I bleed my eyes out. But if I did it in the reverse, where like you're describing, where for you, like it would be RP for 8 hours. And then I get to play 2 or 3 hours of a game that's going to take me 40 hours in total or more to beat. I'm going to be fucking like reviewing 1 game a quarter.
What's the point?
What's the point? So it's a very challenging problem to have.
Hey, listen, if the viewers want to see you do something else, support when they do something else. You know, be engaged. Give the same amount of support as you would when you're playing something else. Literally, I can tell you definitively across the board through every metric. When you play a different game you're not known for, everything drops.
Yeah.
Everything. That's just the way it is. I don't know why. I do know why, but I mean, I don't. It's just it is what it is.
Novor going to be known for playing Morrowind in 2020, coming soon to a stream near you.
See, but you know what? It's funny enough. If you were the Morrowind guy, that played a super clean Morrowind with all the great mods, and you know you had guides, and you got super into it, and you're like a completionist.
If you sit down and go, I'm gonna try and 100% Morrowind.
If you did that, you'd probably gain traction.
Yeah,
you probably would. And then the moment after like 2-3 months of doing that, and you're finally done, and you've melted for all you can, it's either you then take that and then you go into Oblivion and you do the same thing with Oblivion to keep those Morrowind, that group, that culture, that community.
Here's a question for you. Here's one that we never talked about before, just because we have no fucking topics, and so why not? What do you think in terms of this? What do you think? And this is, you know what? I think this would be a super fucking dope metric for somebody to try and come up with a way to figure this out. And you could definitely do it if you watched viewer habits. How long does a new follower have to be a part of your stream before they become a core member of your community? So when you were saying, for example, you do Morrowind and you grab the Elder Scrolls community guys at that point, right? And you have a bit of an umbrella there because you've got Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, whatever.
Yeah.
You go from Morrowind, you want to keep that going, it's going to take you some time, you hop into Oblivion, and you continue. How long do you think, with that idea where you're trying to increase your base, your bottom of the barrel line, like where you start at?
Yeah.
How long does a person need to be a part of your community, do you think, before they will decide to come and see you play damn near anything?
I think it's an individual thing. But with that being said, I think that's the minority. So for example, if you don't have a wow factor, right? So for me, my wow factor would have been doing a master exploder or singing a song in auto-tune or whatever, right?
Yeah.
If they see that, they go, oh, I'm sold on this guy. Hit the follow button. Some of them fucking sub right on the spot.
Yeah.
Some of them donate. That's it. They're there. Like this is a guy. Why haven't I seen him before?
Yeah.
But then there's also the flip side where people are like, God, this is awful. This is not what I'm here for. I'm out. Right. So it works both ways. But if you're not the type of person that has that I don't want to say it factor, because you've been in the game for so long, you have an it factor. Every streamer that has something been doing this has something, right?
Yeah,
but I mean, sometimes that it factor is over the top and loud and abrasive, and people like that and they gravitate towards that. somebody like yourself I think the attachment would be a little bit longer because you don't have those juvenile or those that extreme holy fuck moments a lot of the times. You have those and they can happen naturally in a video game process, but it isn't that thing where you turn off, turn on like a switch when you want to.
No.
And so I would say it's however long it takes to create a habit with somebody. So, some people will see you and they'll go, damn, this guy is the shit. And I'm in. You'll still have that, even if you don't have that crazy it thing that you do. Some people will just go, damn, I like this dude. You might say one sentence. You might say, fuck Donald Trump, just randomly. And they go, oh, this is my guy. Right?
I'm in.
Some people might say that, right? And then some people might say, no, this ain't my guy, right? He's a Canadian. He shouldn't be talking about American politics. Some people are like that, and you're gone. So everybody still has that. But I think if you were to say you played Morrowind, and if I'm running your stream, so I'm going to put me in your position, and I'm going to go, okay, I'm looking to grow here, all right. And I love Morrowind. It's a game I absolutely love. My thing would be, I'm going to be the Morrowind guy for the foreseeable future. I'm not talking about No Man's Sky. I'm not saying, guys, I might play some No Man's Sky tomorrow night or Saturday night and take a break from Morrowind. I'm the Morrowind guy now. I might make comparisons to other RPG-like games and shit like that, but I'm getting people invested into my show because the thing is especially when you're playing a game like Morrowind, and I found this with RuneScape, is they want you to be hooked like they're hooked. They don't want you.
That's the validation thing I was talking about earlier, right?
They want you to think and play the way they think and play. Or you need to be so good and they can learn something, but they still want to be within that realm. And if you do that consistently enough, for some people that might be 3 days in a row. For some people, you might have an amazing Morrowind experience in 8 hours and go, dude, if this guy keeps playing Morrowind, I'm all in. Shut up and take my money. This is it. This is where I belong. This is what I've been missing. Some people might not even totally be into Morrowind, but go, you know what? I've been watching Adam fuck around this thing for the last week. I'm kind of in now. Like next thing you know what, they're downloading Morrowind and putting on mods and shit. So like, if you want to grow, if it was me and I wanted to grow, if I know I'm about to dedicate weeks of content or a month of content to a game, I'm going to at least fool the new people that come in. Even if this isn't my intention, this might sound weird or deceitful, but I might play on the act that this is what I do now. And this is what I'm doing for the foreseeable future, guys. I might not say I'm doing this for 3 weeks and that's the show. I'm telling people I'm completing this game. And they know that this game is going to take you 6 months to complete. Now, even though you might not have any what's the word I'm looking for? You might say, I'm not fucking playing this game for 6 months.
Yeah, no intentions.
No intentions. But you spoke it into existence. And the crazy thing about it is, I did this on day one of RuneScape. Somebody paid me, Nail paid me $50 to play RuneScape, bro. I thought it was the dumbest fucking game ever. But I did it for $50. And then I got traction on day one. And you know what I told the community when my viewership spiked? I'm going to fucking complete every quest with no guide. I didn't even believe that shit. But I wanted to hook them. I wanted them to come in tomorrow. And then tomorrow came, I'm going to fucking get every guide, guys. And then I hooked even more people. I had no intentions, bro. I had no fucking intentions. I lied. But I was almost hyping myself up for it because if the traction was good enough, I was going to do it. And then the next day I said the same thing. And then I fell in love with the game. And then I go, you know what? I'm actually doing this now. And then 1 month turned into 3 months, turned into 6 months, turned into 9 months. And then I became that guy, right? So if it was me and I was dedicating Morrowind, guys, prepare your fucking bodies. I might do a game review. I might not, guys. I might be on this Morrowind train for God knows how long because this is a game I love and I'm going to fucking grind the hell out of this. Get on board or come back in a couple months when I'm done because this is what it's going to be. And then if you get enough traction and then you follow through and you crush it, then you get them hyped about the next one. We're doing the same thing with Oblivion, guys. Prepare your bodies. You do the same thing 6 months later. We're doing the same thing with Skyrim. I'm going to mod the fuck out of it. Dude, I'm getting 100%. Next thing you know, you got 3 years of content and you're now that guy. And that's a way to build a community and one that all goes in the middle. And next thing you know it, your main game is Elder Scrolls, but then you take small breaks to do the other things. And then you're going to fall into the same problem that we're talking about. You know, are those people going to go and watch me play Cyberpunk 2077? And that's just it. It just takes time. It takes time.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you just said. And what you just said at the end is quite literally what's likely to happen, whereby I may review a game, I may not. Luckily, despite the fact we're at the end of the year, there's not a lot of fucking games coming up that I even had the intentions of reviewing. So what I might do is I might relegate it to just some short indie game reviews where I'm putting it up on Patreon for people to vote for what to be done and then just do a review now and then. But otherwise, I've told everyone in the community for years I'd eventually do a Morrowind Let's Play. And so that's why I took like 50 fucking hours. I've literally gone to bed at like 4 a.m. for like the last 4 days, modding the game like crazy, because if I'm going to do it, I might as well fucking do it right.
Do it right. Fuck it.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's very likely what's going to happen. To the point, like the metric thing about like how long it would take to like convert the average person into a long time community member or somebody that stick around. Yeah, it's obviously individual, but there would have to be some kind of like average to look at, and you would just look at viewer habits. I would say, and obviously variables like you said as well about wow factors, how often they happen to get somebody hooked, like the odds of catching somebody with a wow factor during the time they're on your stream, etc. But yeah, I would say that it's probably somewhere between 3 weeks and 3 months.
Yeah.
Depending.
3 months. Wow.
3 weeks and 3 months, because it depends on the person, it depends on the content, and it depends on whether the person, or some people take longer to form a habit, and some people take less time, and then there's the factors you mentioned. So, I think it's anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 months. 3 weeks is like the standard form a habit thing. The trick is not everyone is sitting down and watching a fucking stream every single night for 3 weeks, so it might take a little bit longer. But yeah, I think it's somewhere in there, and it highlights the need for streamers to be on like fucking all the time, which is unhealthy. But it highlights that you need to increase the odds that you're gonna have somebody form a habit, so that when you take a break, you don't lose 50% of your subscriber base. Which I just saw somebody, just to put a cap on this, I just saw somebody who had taken a break. She's an artist, took a break from streaming to just focus on some art for a while off of a stream. And by a while, I mean, it was only like I think it was less than a month that she was off, and literally lost like 90% of her subscribers in that one period.
Bro, I could not imagine taking a month off of a stream, bro.
Yeah.
I feel guilty and I get anxious on a 2-day break.
Yeah.
2 days.
Yeah.
Let alone a month. Like, all the power to the people that can do that. And usually it's really, really successful people where they're going, guys, I don't need the money. I'm fucking taking a break and I'm walking, and I'll see you when I see you. I literally need mental, because I just did this grind for the last 5 years and I've taken no time for myself. I'm out of shape. I'm not healthy. My mental's all fucked up. It's been a bullshit year. I got shit going on in my personal life. I'm really not particularly enjoying the game I'm playing. I need a break. And some people can take that shit and just walk away, but you have to be pretty much uber famous and set to take a month off of Twitch and then come back as if, I don't want to say nothing's happened, but as if like it isn't absolutely crippling to not only your viewership but your bottom line. I mean, I couldn't fathom taking a month off unless I absolutely needed to, like direly needed to. It's just no. I'd come back to like, my core. I'd come back to like 800 subs.
Yeah.
And a lot of those are people that are subbed, and I have people that come into the stream once a year.
Yeah.
Just to show off their anniversary. Like, I'm still supporting dude. Sorry, I can't be around. Like those type of people.
That's pretty much what happened to me when I did my last move to come back here, was the time that it took me to do the move, because it had to happen in such a short time span. I didn't have any time. Like, it was not a smooth move by any means. I had to spend all my time with it. I'm still trying to recuperate from that, and it's been a year.
Yes.
And I'm still trying to claw that back.
Yes.
I went from averaging 110, 130, and now I'm like 60 to 80.
Yeah.
And I'm still, because it wasn't even a break. I literally had no choice. I was being thrown out of the place that I was in and had to move, and I had no choice, but I couldn't stream, but it happened, and I'm still trying to come back.
Right? It's a break.
Yeah, you're just gone.
They broke that habit that you're talking about, and they created a new habit with someone else. And that's just it.
Yeah, it's wild. Oh my goodness, spinning out of there's no segue to get out of that, but the last thing on this list is that Sony decided that they're going to do a face swap for Peter Parker in the Spider-Man game for the remaster, making Spider-Man, of course, look more like Tom Holland than they did before. And it's been pretty divisive. Some people are for the change because Tom Holland is obviously a fairly popular Spider-Man. Other people were upset and continue to be upset because they considered the Spider-Man on the PS4 to be kind of its own story arc, and they were attached to that character, and now that you're swapping the model, it feels fucking weird. Which I can understand. If I'm in the middle of a franchise and I think that this is a branch off, and then all of a sudden, like, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson gets swapped in for my character model out of nowhere, it feels a little fucking weird. I can kind of understand that, but I also understand why Sony would put Tom Holland's face in the game as well. But it just continues to highlight how weird this Spider-Man game, like this update, has been. And to just expand on that, we talked briefly about how crazy the process has been in terms of people trying to understand how to upgrade their PS4 edition if they're getting a PS5. And so Insomniac responded to somebody on Twitter trying to describe to them how this works. I'm going to read the original tweet, then Insomniac's reply, and we're going to see just how crazy or just how fucking weird this sounds and if it even 100% makes sense. So, the original tweet was, Spider-Man Miles Morales Ultimate PS5 is the same as Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered. Spider-Man Miles Morales Ultimate PS4 is a free PS5 upgrade plus Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered. However, Insomniac then interjected and said there is no Ultimate Edition on the PS4 though. So, you can get the PS4 edition of the game, upgrade to PS5 for free. If you get the disc version, you must have a disc drive PS5 though. So you need the disc version of the PS4 game plus the disc version of the PS5 console. Then, from inside the game on the PS5, you can upgrade to the Ultimate Edition on the PS5 from your PS4 copy, downloading it for Miles Morales, for the Miles Morales thing for $20. So, it's like a fucking flowchart for this upgrade. People are wondering how they get the upgrade, what they even get for it, how much money they need to spend to get the Miles Morales addition to it, whether or not they get the remastered original Spider-Man game from the PS4 along with it. It is fucking all over the place. The fact that they even had to specify that you need to have the disc version of the PS5,
Yeah.
you've already lost me. Why in
Yeah.
the shit does it have to be that specific? It's
to
crazy.
Sell disc versions.
Just
Crazy.
why?
It's crazy.
Moonhell asks, hey, if Spider-Man was on the Xbox, how would that process go? Well, this is how it would go. Do you own the Xbox One version? Yes. Okay. You can now play it on the Xbox Series X. And for $20, you can get the Miles Morales edition.
No, it would go, hey.
Oh, no, sorry. You go, hey, all of it's on the Game Pass.
There you go.
Don't worry about it.
There you go. You almost missed a golden opportunity.
That's definitely the way it would go. It would say, we're just going to put this shit on the Game Pass. Done.
Yeah.
All over. So yeah, a bit of a fucking gong show. They're really struggling to be able to like have people understand exactly how the process works. You can understand why that might be confusing for consumers because holy shit, that's a mess. So yeah, bit of a gong show there. But regardless, hey, you're now gonna have Tom Holland, Peter Parker. So, yay, Jeff, it's time. It's time to sell out. You ready to do some sellout?
NordVPN. If you guys don't already have a VPN service, type in !NordVPN. And if you're watching this on YouTube, it's in the description. Or you can go to nordvpn.com/OTT and get 68% off on a 2-year term and get a bonus month for free. Stay safe, stay anonymous, stay protected on the internet through NordVPN. With up to 6 simultaneous devices, high-speed servers, you can not only keep yourself safe, but you can unlock parts of the internet you may not have gone to before. Stop getting region blocked. Fight that. The click of a button. Change where you are virtually and unlock the content behind that door. Also,
Mr. Black.
we have Elgato.
Hold on. I got a problem, Mr. Black.
Okay.
I got a fucking problem. You see, I'm a big Spider-Man fan. Okay? And Insomniac made a really fucking dope Spider-Man game. And they look to have another very dope expansion to this game coming up. The problem is the purchasing process for this game is incredibly difficult. And I need a visual aid to be able to figure out how I am going to make this happen. I'm a visual learner, Mr. Black. How is there any products available to me that I could have some images with nested other images, a nice flowchart visually showing me how to properly upgrade to the Miles Morales edition of Spider-Man?
Yeah, so that item you're looking for is an Elgato product by the name of Stream Deck. And you're probably going to want to pick up the XL version because there's more buttons up front right then and there.
This is a big flowchart.
It's a big flowchart. So
it's true.
Basically, you can have a new picture for every step you need to take to play this Spider-Man game, expansion, whatever this thing is. So, for example, you could have the first button that when you click it, it takes you to Amazon to go ahead and purchase your Xbox. All right. And then when you get to that Xbox page, you got to make sure that you click the second button, which will actually open up your Xbox Series X that has the disc, because you're going to need the disc drive specifically. Then you're going to want to click another button that will get that shipped to your house and will remind you to update that Xbox Series X so that you can download whatever it is that you need to download to add on to your already existing Spider-Man game that you already had. Now, in case you don't already had that, you go back 3 buttons, you click that button, it'll purchase the original Spider-Man game for you. All right. And go back up now 4 more buttons. You're going to click that button, which will then download and install the expansion. And then from there, you'll need to click another button that'll take you to a page on Amazon for a $250 hard drive, because that download expansion will likely be 200 gigs and you only have so much space, and you probably already have other games on there, including the base that you need to have on there just to have the operating system running on that bad boy. So now you're not only down a $200 and $300 console, but now you're down $250 on the hard drive, and then you're also down another $100 on the game. And then, you might also have a button on there that'll take you to your ISP provider to get a data increase. Or if you want to get crazy with it, you get a button that'll take you to NordVPN, where you can then buy a virtual private network using the promo code OTT and saving 68% off, so that you can mask your IP so that your ISP provider doesn't data cap you from the amount of gigs that you're putting on your $250 hard drive.
Mr. Black?
Yeah.
What if? Halloween is coming up, and unfortunately, it's not likely that many children will be going door to door in the current COVID-19 climate. Personally, I've never been one to want to get dressed up. But hey, I am, after all, a Spider-Man fan. And as it turns out, even Spider-Man himself is putting on another face in Tom Holland. If I want to make myself look like Spider-Man, and maybe even do some web slinging in a city, maybe even in Honolulu, Hawaii, just for the sake of having a change of scenery, what could I use?
You could definitely use an Elgato key light and an Elgato green screen. That's going to give you the ability to sling them webs in many different places whenever you want. That's all you need, is an Elgato green screen and a key light if your lighting just ain't right. Or they also have a new product, which is the Elgato ring, where you can get your light ring that just goes right around your webcam.
If you like it, you better
Elgato get one.
Put a ring on it.
Ooh, I like it. So yeah, link is in the description below. Go check out Elgato. That's all they're getting.
Boom.
Patreon.com/lagtv.
You guys should go there. Do it. Make it happen. Mr. Black, it's now time for
movies and TV.
Amazon's Lord of the Rings production apparently is getting back in gear, as obviously that's been on hold for, well, again, obvious reasons. Like many productions around the world right now, shit's on pause.
Yep.
So there's not really any new crazy news to go along with it, except to say that they have begun production again, whatever that means. That could mean that somebody is officially getting coffee for the producers first thing in the morning, and that's it. We don't know. All we know is that it's technically back in production. I had forgotten that was even a thing.
I didn't. I know it's coming.
I forgot that was even. I hope they do well by it. I mean, that's a lot to live up to say the least. Next up, Resident Evil Infinite Darkness teaser popped on, showing what they're calling a 3D anime, not animated. They stuck with the term anime. 3D anime series coming to Netflix in 2021.
I'll wait for the live action Resident Evil. Not really.
They're moving into 3D anime so that they can continue to use Mila Jovovich for the next 50 to 60 years.
Hey, good on her. She gets a paycheck, and
she locked that up.
Yep.
And now she's doing Monster Hunter.
There you go.
As well.
Killing it.
Congratulations, Mila, who's apparently, I mean, she doesn't age. She has aged very well. I keep forgetting that, like you see her in fucking The Fifth Element, and then you realize how long ago The Fifth Element was.
Mm-hmm.
And then you watch her in Resident Evil and Monster Hunter, and you're like, damn! Get
Fine
it.
wine.
Fine wine. Speaking of fine wine, Borat 2 coming October 23rd in surprise reveal. So they kept that one for obvious reasons. Anytime Sacha Baron Cohen is going to do something that's undercover, even as a character that people would recognize at this point, you got to keep it on the low, because it only works if he can operate in character and trick as many people as possible into believing that he is really and truly a fucking crazy ass motherfucker from Kazakhstan, which he apparently did again.
Great.
Bro, I gotta be honest with you. I think Sacha Baron Cohen is a goddamn genius.
He is.
And this is, you know what? I could use a little bit of Borat 2 in my 2020. I watched the trailer. It looks amazing in the sense that they knew going in, obviously, if he's going back to America as Borat, people would recognize him. So the difficulty level, much higher than it was the first time, and yet they still managed to pull off some shit. Dude, he is living for a period of time with, like, the most southern, rednecked,
of course, those are the
Republican, hardcore, and like their home is interior is done to look like a log cabin. They're like, and he's living with them, walking around in his underwear and shit. Dude, it looks fucking magnificent, and I can't wait to watch it. So yeah, 23rd coming up for more of Sacha Baron Cohen in a banana hammock.
Perfect.
Who else gets to wear a banana hammock and get away with it? I'm pretty sure only Sacha can get away with wearing a banana hammock. And finally on my list here, because as usual, there's not been a crazy amount of stuff going on in the TV and movie industry. Disney, after firing 28,000 employees, decided that they would make an announcement right smack dab in the middle of the first U.S. presidential debate to bury it as deeply in the news cycle as humanly possible, that they would be renewing their C-level employees' salaries to pre-COVID levels. Because fuck you, that's why. Is my best answer for you. They were still getting paid. It's not like they weren't getting paid. They were still getting paid, and probably a shitload of money. But it was less than they made before COVID. And now that they fired 28,000 people, man, did they free up some capital. And the first thing that they did was pat themselves on the back and give themselves a free hand job for thinking of the genius idea of firing 28,000 people to free up the money to pay themselves some more money. Isn't it swell? Isn't it fucking swell? Makes you feel good on the inside. Isn't that just capitalism at its fucking finest? It's like up here. It's like, what was it, Bombardier who was given, I think it was Bombardier, he was given $1 billion to help weather the storm. And the first thing they did was give bonuses to their entire sea level. And you're like, you know.
Really?
Really?
Y'all couldn't wait 1 year?
You couldn't, like, give yourself a bonus for actually doing something useful? Instead, you just gave yourself a bonus because you convinced the government to give you $1 billion? Really? And that's all I've got. I still haven't watched Devil All the Time, unfortunately.
Kayla and I have been watching Cobra Kai. I saw the first season before, so Kayla just finished the first season last night. So after I'm done this, I got a couple of voiceovers to do, and then we're gonna start season 2.
I've heard it's pretty good, season 2.
It's a good show.
Good show. Did Netflix take over production when it came to Netflix, or is it just they bought them out?
I think they might have bought them out, and I think now Netflix and them are creating a season 3.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know, but they were on YouTube Red first.
Yes, exactly.
And then obviously Netflix bought them.
Yeah, I remember using NordVPN to pay for YouTube Red in the States to watch that show.
Yeah, I did too. This was before we were sponsored by NordVPN.
Exactly. And then I promptly canceled it upon completion.
Yeah.
I guess that's it, which means it's time to move on to
tech support.
Wow, that was a short end to that one.
Hungry and tired.
I don't blame you. Each week, ladies and gentlemen, patreon.com/langtv, $10 or more each and every week gets you into the tier that you can ask us questions. It's called Tech Support. Every week I put a post up before the podcast starts up, and you get to ask us questions, and we answer as many of them as we can. Let's see what we've got this week. Actually, before I forget, I had a question sent to me on Discord because they couldn't get to the page. Where is that? What are your top 3 favorite smells and top 3 hated smells?
Top 3 smells, top 3 hated smells.
Yeah. Best and worst smell edition.
I love the smell of turkey dinner. So it's because it's a combination of all smells.
Yep.
And it's a very distinct smell.
Yep.
And usually it's the dressing that kind of overshadows everything else just a little bit.
It's because all the spice in it. It's the thing that's got the most spice going on.
I would say it's probably my favorite smell. And also it's a good smell because it usually means time with family and a good time. So like it's a smell that is also attached to a good feeling, and it smells great. So I'm going to go with turkey dinner, or like a Thanksgiving dinner smell.
I just realized right now that I didn't post on socials that we were doing this live. I just dawned on me now. But yeah, that's a good smell.
Hey,
that's a good start.
I posted.
Oh, did you? Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Another smell. I love the smell of lasagna. So I gotta put lasagna up there.
Lasagna.
And what's another good smell? You know what? Third one, it's a dessert. Chocolate chip cookies. Homemade chocolate chip cookies. You open up that oven door and that smell just takes over. I mean,
have you ever done the thing where you're showing a rental property, and before they show up to see the property, you literally bake cookies in the house to give it the smell before they show up?
Oh no, I haven't seen that. I haven't done that either. Smart.
That or bread, one or the other. It's like the two home related smells.
Homey, makes you feel at home already. And then the smells I don't like. I mean, I don't like nasty fart smells. You know, I mean,
yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one. I don't like the smell of. I don't like too strong a smell of curry. So I don't mind the smell of curry, but I don't like it just completely covered my entire living area.
Yeah, it can get potent.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. And I also don't like the smell of hard-boiled eggs. Although I do like hard-boiled eggs. The smell just kind of turns me a little bit.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. When there's just too much of it. And I love me some eggs. But there's something about like hard-boiled eggs. If I get too much of that smell, especially hard-boiled eggs that are in like fruit salads or like a cold salad. I don't like the smell of that. So yeah, I'll go with those.
All right. Favorite smells. There's two very specifically. I'll try and combine them. So down at the family home, there's actually 3 smells. If you go there at a very specific time of the year, usually in mid-July, the multiflora rose that got brought over on a ship a bajillion years ago that took over half the fucking area is in full bloom, and the whole place, everywhere you go, is the most amazing, sweet, like it's if you could imagine what like high fantasy Lord of the Rings areas like the Shire would smell like, that's the fucking smell. That is the fucking smell. So that, And then the house itself has a very distinct smell because there's a lot of open pine in the house. It doesn't smell like pine, but because the wood has been open for fucking 200 years, it has a very distinct smell, and I love it. And then the dining room, which is more of a storage shed now because it's not being operated as a bed and breakfast anymore, is has a very distinct smell as well but it's a different smell. It's a smell I associate with like dad and doing work. So the lawnmowers are stored in there. There's like old turpentine and paints and various other shit, gasoline, and it's this weird amalgamation of like woodworking and yard work and all, and like shit from like across 50 years all soaked into this open wood place that smells fucking awesome to me, or it's got very specific memories tied to it.
Memory smell, yeah.
So the moment that I walk in or that I get there, two things I do is I walk into the house, obviously take the bags inside, and then I immediately go to the dining room just to smell the fucking dining room, and then I'm like, yep, now I'm here. Lock the door, go back in the house. And then as far as like other smells go, like food related. I would say, even though I don't drink coffee, the smell of coffee is up there for me as an enjoyable smell if it's being brewed in the kitchen in one way or the other. Doesn't matter if it's good coffee or bad coffee, doesn't really matter. The smell of most coffees are, you know, I enjoy the smell of those things. And then I would say, I was, you know what, I would agree that Thanksgiving dinner is probably really fucking high up there.
It's good, man. It's fucking...
That or homemade bread, somewhere in there, would be it. And then for smells I don't like, number one, without question, rotten potato. I don't think there's a worse smell on earth than a rotten potato. It is so potent. And it sticks to anything. If you even get a dab of it on clothes or even your hand, it will stain that thing with the fucking scent of that for like 2-3 fucking days. It's crazy. You could dunk your hand into a container of bleach and that shit wouldn't take the smell out. It is a crazy potent smell. So rotten potato is definitely the worst for sure. And then other than that, I mean, yeah, like you said, man, if you're just shitting yourself, sometimes you can't even take the smell of your own brand.
Yeah, sometimes it's bad.
Sometimes it's bad.
Real bad. Yeah.
And so obviously that's pretty gnarly. And then the only other thing I could think of, right off the top of my head, would be cigarettes.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised I actually didn't say that.
I'm gonna lump cigarettes and weed together. I equally can't stand either. Like if I'm in the vicinity of somebody smoking a fucking dart or smoking a fucking bat, it doesn't matter either way. I'm not going to be happy about it. Like I can't fucking stand it. And what's worse is because they do it on the regular, they're completely nose blind to the shit. So they don't even realize how strong of a smell it is. They're always like, it's not that bad. It's not really that bad. And so you can't even tell them otherwise. But yeah, the smell of cigarettes and cigars, I don't mind. I can live with some cigar smells, but cigarettes and weed is fucking awful. And all I think of when I smell weed, which is more often now because it's legal, all I can think of is going back to high school and you'd walk down the hallway and there'd be hordes of stoners trying to cover up the fact that at recess they went out into the fucking woods and got a quick fucking like
axe spray.
Yeah, and Axe just came out at that time, and it was the answer that everyone had to everything. And the smell of weed and Axe combined is forever burned into my olfactory gland. It's permanently in my nose and brain. And it is a terrible smell. And they thought that they covered it up. They're like, I didn't smoke weed. I don't know what you're talking about.
You smoked weed, bro. It's okay.
You're not fooling anyone. It's okay. So there you go. There's your answer to that one. Alexa, we actually answered this before, but in terms of 10 years of Light TV coming up, anything planned, the answer is not really. We're hoping to eventually hit that target on Patreon to have the time to be able or to be able to make the time to sit down and do live TV reacts.
Maybe what we'll do is maybe we'll record a couple, all right, for the anniversary, watch our favorite episodes, and then if people love it, they can go support it and we can do more.
Yeah, there you go. That is a more likely scenario. Will asks, have you thought about or talked about when you'd be making the podcast face to face again? We haven't talked about it, and there's no real reason to do it right now. Thankfully, we have the equipment that, honestly, as much as I love that Procaster or Rodecaster mixer we have, the preamps on it are fucking hot garbage, and our podcast sounds significantly worse on that hardware versus doing this over Discord, which tells you how bad, as good, as amazing utility-wise as that thing is, the preamps are fucking hot garbage shit. And so this sounds better regardless. So there's no, you miss some of the interaction when you're not sitting in the same room, but until COVID is not a problem,
rush to do it. There's no point.
There's no point to just have that happen, because it's literally my life and Jeff's life where we've got the two ends of the spectrum, even though there's one case in this entire province.
Yeah.
Jeff's got a toddler. I've got the opposite end of the spectrum, a 97-year-old grandmother. There is literally no reason to risk it just for the sake of sitting in the same room for 3 hours on a weekly basis when it doesn't really change things that much.
I agree.
Well, Nikki asks, our website guru, Nikki, Mike Morheim gives you creative control, that would be a terrible idea, creative control to develop a game that will be the future of RTS. What are some ways you evolve RTS and take it into a new generation of the genre?
Jeez, that's a...
I don't know how you evolve it, but I have ideas as to what I think would help make RTSs more accessible. Or accessible while still having a high enough skill ceiling, I suppose. I think the first thing that you've got to do is that you've got to, when you're developing the game, loosely pick what you think the average game time is going to be, and not be too long. There was points, I think it was in the first expansion of StarCraft 2, where the games were averaging fucking 40 minutes. They were just marathon matches and shit. And the average person does not want a multiplayer match to necessarily constantly go 40, 45 minutes every single time, especially if there's any amount of downtime in between matches. So I would say that for RTS to target a 20-minute average is probably what I would go for every match.
Yeah, I'd probably even less.
And 15 to 20 minutes, I would say, is good. And then you mold your mechanics or the speed of the progress of resource gathering and building times around that, and the power and mobility of the units in order to accommodate that kind of speed. The next thing that I desperately would like to see be more of a thing in RTS, to increase the skill ceiling and make it perhaps not so much about controlling 3,000 units, but controlling, let's say, 50 to 60 or 50 to 75 units more efficiently. I wouldn't go all the way down to what was that game that we played? You talked about it last week. What was the fucking name of it again? Like your mech units? Drop Zone. I wouldn't go that far down. That's too few. But yeah. I would say around 50 to 75 units. What I would like to see is more environmental impact. I think that maps, I think there's something to be said about having maps that have more environmental effects. And the one that I always bring up, just as a thing to like easily understand what I mean by environmental effects, are things like, let's say, ice, and your units are moving across ice, and there is a movement change based on the fact that they're on ice. Maybe when you click to stop, they slide a little further. That can fuck with the fog of war. That can slide you into a siege unit. That can give your position away. That can also change how you work with perhaps more mobile units that have distances in which they can dash to a target, things of that nature. I think that environmental things are probably one of the avenues that I would want to explore for an RTS I would be a part of. And then other than that, I think what you have to do is you have to come up with a way to the hardest thing about it is coming up with a way to hook people who aren't already interested in RTS. I don't know what that is necessarily, but you either have to create community tools to have a great arcade system like Brood War had, for example, that got people playing the game, but less for the main game and more for the arcade stuff. StarCraft 2 had that, but they were kind of late to the game getting to that point, and they never really did implement it in a great way. They got pretty good at it, but having stuff like that, and then having, all this is stuff Blizzard's already had. The original BattleNet, clans, the ability for people to create their own communities and easily access them and use them and operate within them. Then you have people helping lower end players learn the game, take them on, have individual like in-house tournaments, have all that stuff involved there so that it's not just such a rigid, cold experience. When I played Brood War, I didn't feel like it was a cold experience. There was a lot there that felt like community, and there was a lot there that gave me options where I didn't feel like I was just slamming myself into the ladder all the time. StarCraft 2, when I played it for the 3-4 months that I played it, just felt like I was just slamming myself into the fucking ladder over and over again. And as somebody who is not a hardcore RTS player, that made it more difficult for me to want to get back into it over and over again because it became robotic instead of me actually feeling like I was part of a community for a multiplayer game. I think that that's probably the thing to focus on the most for me, is because RTS is not something that a huge number of people are interested in right off the rip, compared to other genres. And if you're going to convince somebody to give you money to do it, you have to take that into consideration, is that you have to make it accessible. How you do it, there's a lot of different ways, but accessibility has to be it. And that's really it. If I could take StarCraft 2 and slap environmental effects onto maps to add variability and maybe reduce the unit count and speed the game up a little bit, that's probably it. StarCraft 2, for as much shit as I've given it over the years, is a fucking incredible RTS that nobody has come close to matching from a technical perspective. It's just not even close. So you're pretty much just leapfrogging off of what StarCraft 2 has and taking some of, ironically, what Blizzard had before StarCraft 2, adding it on, and then just making it a little bit more accessible for people who don't have the attention span or perhaps the want of slamming themselves into the wall of ladder over and over again to learn the game and just want to be part of a community and have some fun. I think those are probably the biggest growth avenues for it, other than esports. That's a totally different topic, but other than the esports side.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. StarCraft 2 is the greatest RTS ever made.
Yeah.
It's better than Brood War. It might not be as iconic as Brood War, but it is a better game.
Yes.
Mechanically speaking, just about in every conceivable way.
Yeah.
Balance, that's another topic, but I mean, it's the GOAT. But with that being said, I think what the question is like, what could you do to bring it what was the word that they use, like to
be
like,
the evolve, basically trying to evolve the
involvement.
RTS. Yeah.
Like the thing is it's hard to evolve a game that is already the top of its class by a significant margin. I think if StarCraft 4 came out, for example, say Michael Morhaime wanted to create another StarCraft game, which he couldn't because it's a Blizzard IP. But I'm just, for example, he calls it fucking, I don't know, Morhaime World. All right, and it's another RTS, very similar to StarCraft, but in this case, we'll say it's StarCraft. If Michael Morhaime creates another game or gives me money to create a game, which would be awful, but for the sake of this question, you can't just make StarCraft again because, for one, it's already a thing, and for two, the masses aren't interested in StarCraft. The question is how do we get people interested in a new RTS? And I'm with you. StarCraft 2 could use environmental stuff. Like now, like they could come up with an expansion and make that a big part of the game. But I think if you were to make another RTS, you'd make another StarCraft. But what I would do is I would make, like what you said, the environment a lot bigger part of the game. And so much so that it would be similar to League of Legends. So I'd be taking a page out of League and taking the RTS game that already works, but implementing it into a map like League of Legends. So both sides have their bases, but also now, instead of destroy every structure and you win, it's, hey, destroy this nexus, your main nexus or your core, destroy your command center or your core, or destroy your hatchery, your core. Where it's basically your hub, and the game would have to have a MOBA element to it. So I'm not talking about having hero units, so they don't exist, but the world itself, to get to that base, to each other's bases, you have to not only destroy your opponent, but destroy the map. And you have to work your way to that. And there's many different paths that you could take to get to that battle or to that core or hatchery or whatever, and make it more of, you're not just playing against the player on the other end, but you're also playing against the house. And it just so happens that because you're playing against the house, you also have to worry about the player. And, there could be creeps, there could be packs of units and different areas that you need specific types of units to get through. Maybe you need cloaking units. Maybe you need something that has the ability that has a big armor, or flying units. And the maps would change, and those creeps would change so that it's not the same every time. And you would only be able to see those things as you're going through the fog of war. So it'd be very similar to campaign mode of StarCraft, but within the game of the RTS, so that you have this element of MOBA, but it is an RTS. And I think that would be the closest way that you could get casuals to join it, to a degree where people feel as though, they're not getting six pooled or dying within, a couple minutes. Now, that would make the games longer. So you would be looking at 30-minute games, 45-minute games potentially. But I think it would engage the audience a little bit more. But that's pretty much it. And to be honest, it's not even a game I would want, to be fair. It would be trying to pander towards a larger audience that has enough familiarity. Is that the word?
Yeah, familiarity.
Familiarity as, say, League of Legends or a MOBA.
Yeah.
So that they feel as though that they can bring some of those skills and that knowledge and that experience to an RTS to get them hooked into the RTS game. But honestly, dude, if you want to make a better StarCraft, give it back to Michael Morhaime, balance the game correctly, Stop adding in stupid units, and change up the maps a little bit. Make them more engaging, and you have a better version of what is already the top dog.
Yeah, I think like a perfect RTS for me right now that I would want to engage with personally or watch as an esport, because I don't know if you can do an RTS right now that doesn't have the idea that it needs to be something that an esport could be easily built off of. Because I think you would need the traction of an esport and Twitch and YouTube to make it work. I actually think it's closer to Warcraft than it is StarCraft.
Yeah, I agree.
Warcraft unit counts are better. The hero units add an extraordinary amount of variability to the gameplay that just having regular units does not. And I like your idea, and I'd build off of it, where you take, because what I miss in to compare StarCraft and 2 and Brood War was how creative you could be in Victory.
Yeah,
Brood War had more creativity. And while I appreciate the fact that some people look at RTSs and they want to make it chess, where there's a finite number of moves to be done, and so there's variability, but only to a degree.
Yeah.
I would prefer something, and the map is probably the easiest way to do it. The hard part would be to make whatever was happening on the map equal to both players.
Yeah.
But to change it up so that you can't just go into a match, for example, let's say a StarCraft 2 match, and you know what map you're on, and you know what race you're against, and you go, okay, this is my play, and have that just be it. Unless you scout something differently, for example, that kind of variability. But if the map is changing, and it's changing for both sides, or let's say that that there are similar to League, like you were saying, there were spots on the map that a player could go and let's say they destroyed something. And in destroying that thing or killing that thing, that had ramifications on the map that changed the map that maybe would play better to whatever strategy they wanted to take. Or maybe that's later in the game and it helps them at that point in the game. But more map variability, more environmental stuff on the map, hero units, and lower unit counts. And with hero units, with hero units, my God, I mean, we all know how much people love to customize their shit. Let them customize their hero units. Give them the ability to do that shit. Leave the, regular units alone if you need to. But, there are things you can do with hero units that you can't do without them that are nice to have. StarCraft got into the game late as fuck with skins. But, that kind of thing. But from a gameplay perspective, make the map more variable to add variability, make it fair to both sides, and then lower unit counts, hero units, and tighten that up to a 15, 20 minute, maybe 30-minute game, and you're good. I think the game length isn't as difficult to get people over. Like if you had a 30-minute average game, meaning you have like some 20, some 40.
Yeah.
As much as downtime between matches. If your game is going to be popular enough that you're confident that it's going to be popular enough that somebody's downtime is minimal between matches, that overcomes a lot of the game length. Otherwise, you need the games to be shorter so people don't feel like they're wasting, all of their time waiting between matches.
Yeah, I mean, just give us Warcraft 4. I mean, that's pretty much what
we're asking for right now. It's an evolved Warcraft.
An evolved Warcraft with a little bit more StarCraft 2 elements, but at the same time, Warcraft 4. That's pretty much what it is. So anyway,
exactly.
Next one. Let's do one more. Do one more. And then
yeah. Hold on here. Loose Caboose asks, if you could, what would you make Todd Howard's leather bomber jacket say now that Microsoft owns Bethesda?
Sell out. Why not?
I would have it say, it's not a feature, it's a bug. Instead of it's not a bug, it's a feature. I'd flip the meme and be like, oh, we're just shit at making games, so it's not a feature, it's a bug.
I like it.
And for the very last thing, Danish Devil, for my buddy that's also been a longtime Lag TV watcher and podcast listener, hit me up with the sound of finally passing your journeyman's exam so that you can no longer have to work for your dick of a boss and can actually earn a wage that you deserve, but also finding out that you only passed by one question.
Let's fucking go.
That's pretty much it.
That's it, baby.
And then you leave the office.
Yep.
Say, I quit. I'm out of here. There you go.
Sir.
Ladies and gentlemen. It's another Tech Elf podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. It was a shorty. We dragged her out as long as we could.
Shorty?
Wasn't
that short?
Didn't have as many topics as usual. We did 2.5 hours, though. We made it happen, as only we can. We will be back next week for more Technical Alpha. Until we see you guys then, thank you so much once again for all of your support. Hit the like button, give us a comment on YouTube, hit the bell icon so that you can get notified, and do that in the first hour of these releases. They go up every Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time on the dot. I will be getting that up for you guys real soon. RSS feeds go up the same night as the podcasts are live. You've been good to us. Please continue. Because I just bought a lot of expensive shit this month and I need you to. We'll see you guys next week. Until then, thank you once again, and peace!
Peace.
Hi, this is a special Technical Alpha where I come back and I say, hey, for some reason, that wasn't the entire track. And so now, without further ado, here's the entire track. I'm also going to remind you that for those of you that have a NOS network drive that likes to go to sleep when it's not used for a while, that it can cause things like having to wait for it to spin back up before you can play your music. But now, and for real this time, it's the theme.